What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so Michael Wilbon of ESPN has been on a warpath as of late. The ESPN personality and co-host of Pardon the Interruption has recently talked about the network's greed when it comes to covering college basketball. He's talked about the network's oversaturation of speaking about the Lakers and LeBron James. And this time in an interview with Outkick, he talks about ESPN in particular talking too much about Bronny James and not enough about the NBA's other more deserving stars. He said, quote, "They talk about him, Bronny, more than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander." He said this after being asked if both ESPN and FS1 have spoken more about Bronny than Gilgeous-Alexander, an NBA MVP frontrunner. That's pandering. It's all pandering. Let me be clear. Our business is a piece of shit a lot of days. There's nobody enforcing standards or having tough conversations. I feel differently about this than most. I get it. However, Tony Kornheiser and I didn't need to talk about it publicly. Tony understands it too. His son Michael works for him. But we aren't talking about Bronny every day. Hell no. This isn't about Stephen A. It's the entire industry. That's what I want to remind LeBron. Our business is just shit some days. It just is. And I like how more and more pundits are calling out the absurdity of what's going on recently. You know what I'm saying? You hear Michael Wilbon. You know, we heard Charles Barkley on his rant a couple of weeks ago. Stephen A. Smith, who I don't particularly care for, even he and some of the other pundits are beginning to say some of the stuff that we have been saying. It's getting ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then, one of the things that irritates me too is, I know it irritates a lot of you guys, is the Bronny fans will say something like, "Man, I've never seen a 55th pick in a draft get so much hate. I mean, why do you guys hate on?" Well, look, have you ever heard of a 55th pick of the NBA draft getting so much attention? I mean, it gets ridiculous. After a while, you almost start to wonder, man, is Bronny like mentally challenged? Why is he getting praised for doing some of the most basic things? Yay! Yay! You drew a circle. Man, that's impressive. Try my best. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else is like, well, can I get praise? Get out of here. You drew a circle. You want praise for that for? With Bronny, yay! My big man, button up his shoes. Yeah, and I said button up shoes. Yeah. But I got shoestrings. Shut up. What you want a cookie for that? But with Bronny, it's like every little thing he do on the court gets praised. It was getting ridiculous. Until, you know what I'm saying, I have noticed recently they've dialed it back because it was getting ridiculous. It was getting embarrassing because he's getting so much hype, but his play wasn't living up to the hype. And I saw recently Charles Barkley say that he thought that Bronny should just stay in the G League. Yeah, because I don't get why he bounces back and forth. But look, let me say this about Michael Wilbon. I've always had my issues with Wilbon because, if anything, I thought that he was part of the problem. I mean, at one point with him, it's like LeBron could do no wrong. So I don't know exactly what's gotten into Wilbon lately. Maybe he's gotten tired of, kissing the ring. But to me, that's a sign that LeBron's on his way out the door anyway, because this is the most resistance I've seen to him, seen shown toward him really since the decision days, or I would say the first year that he was in Miami, when he was almost seen as a villain. Ever since then, increasingly, LeBron could do no wrong, to the point now where he's almost constantly praised, where up until this past year, the only place you can really find criticism of him is on social media. And he can't stand that. And he wished that he had control over that, but he doesn't. That's why he has so many people now on social media on their payroll praising him, sneak dissing us. He has all these little bots assigned to our channels praising him. And it's disgusting. Michael Jordan could care less whether somebody on social media thinks he's not the GOAT. The level of insecurity that this guy has, my God, man. Terribly insecure, man. When somebody has to constantly remind you that they're supposed to be the best or they're great, then they really don't think it. They really don't believe that they're that great. Kobe Bryant, personally, thought that he was better than Michael Jordan. He thought he was the second greatest player of all time behind Wilt. Another guy who has fallen behind as far as his greatness. Matter of fact, I got to address an article that I just saw. Another Wilt hit piece. Another Wilt hit piece that I saw, man. But look, man, yeah, man, Wilbon is 100% correct, man. But like they don't praise enough of the best players of today. Shea has just started becoming a semi-household name. And I'm going to tell you something else, too, that irritates me. I noticed that a lot of people, when they're criticizing Shea, right, they'll say, oh, well, but, he doesn't average a triple-double like Jokic. So guys like Jokic and LeBron and Doncic, those guys put up almost triple-double a game. They really going, look, that's because they play a certain style. But I remember when Russell Westbrook was doing that, right? I used to see so many people upload videos talking about how triple-doubles are overrated. Triple-doubles really don't have the same value they once did when Magic and Bird was doing it. Triple-doubles are cheating and cheapening the game. You know what I'm talking about. Now, all of a sudden, that Russ has aged and you got other guys doing it, and LeBron's forcing the issue with triple-doubles. Now, all of a sudden, they mean something again. But anyway, salute to Michael Wilbon for calling out FS1, ESPN for their BS. Tell me what you guys think.